Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast After the Bell with Chip Nellinger. Chip, looks like the markets overnight finished up pretty strong going into the day, but they finished down overall.
Yeah, we had a nice bounce. Closed fairly decent yesterday on Tuesday. Had a little follow through to the upside in the overnight. Couldn't hold them today. I think you probably still have a little bit of liquidation from some of the longs in the market ahead of tomorrow morning's USDA May crop report. So that shouldn't be any major surprise there. But there's a lot of information coming out. We're going to get an update of old crop carryout, our first snapshot of new crop projections. We've got the world numbers updated also on production, as well as a wheat crop, wheat estimate. So we got a lot of numbers out there, and when you have that many numbers floating out there, there's always the potential that you have a surprise. So I think today you can't read too much into it. A little bit of negativity here, but there was really nothing new that hit the market. We ended up, I don't know, 3-4 cents lower in beans, just a touch lower, fractionally lower in corn. Corn's still kind of the strongest relative to anything. So corn has a lot of strength. They try to break it, they can't get it done. Wheat still have a better chance of rain coming here in the 1 to 2 week forecast for the dry areas of the plains. The former Soviet Union, Black Sea area, parts of Europe have been a little dry. They're going to get some rain. So that weighed on the wheat market, and wheat was down roughly 4 in Chicago, 6 in Kansas City. But, the big news is going to be tomorrow at 11, the crop report, see what those numbers say, see if there's anything out of the ordinary in relation to what the pre-report estimates were. And then, obviously this time of year, weather's important. What's the forecast say? And any potential news. We were talking earlier in the office today, and I can't remember any time in the last, probably 10 years, if not longer, that this grain market, livestock market, all our ag markets are more subject to news events like they have been recently with, not just stuff that affects ags, obviously, like NAFTA and the China trade thing, but then you have all these other political things and world stuff going on, the Iran deal, the renewable fuel standard, North Korea. There is a lot of moving parts out there right now, and it's moving rapidly and lots of news, and it affects the markets. And so you're always subject to that, where just out of the blue on a tweet, on some news story that comes out unexpectedly, can really affect these markets. So that's, good in the right. It's going to give us movement. It's bad from the standpoint it makes it unpredictable and, subject to big whipsaw swings back and forth. But that's the environment we're in right now.
Yep. So I saw that earlier today when I was doing some kind of just looking over the news to see what was happening there, but Trump had come out and made a few statements about the RINs and renewable fuel stuff, and it didn't sound like he was for it or against it, but he was just kind of playing in the middle. Is that kind of how you read that?
Yeah, yep. And I think that's why the market didn't react more. It would be fairly supportive to corn and ethanol demand. It would probably increase our ethanol exports. It would increase corn demand. Overall, it would be positive for corn. But right now, it's just a suggestion and not the agreement. So you have, on the one hand, the way I understand it, you've got the Secretary of that standpoint, and you've got the head of the EPA who's looking at it more from the energy standpoint. Obviously, you've got the interest of farmers. You've got the interest of oil companies. Neither one of those trust the other very far. And so where are we going to meet in the middle? I think if it came out exactly like President Trump suggested, it would be friendly for corn. The likelihood of it coming out exactly as he laid out, probably not. There will be some changes in the final agreement, and that still could be down the road. But as it stood, that would be, if it came out like that on the final agreement, it would be fairly friendly to corn. So let's hope it leans something close to what President Trump suggested.
Yeah, this probably one of the first times I've actually seen him react politically to something, and then not as a more of a politician stance. Because Twitter, you read through Twitter and read all the stuff on there. Everyone from his base, the corn and soybean parts of the country, were all saying like, "I sure hope you don't forget us," and all the stuff that we did for you, basically. And then the very next day, he comes out with a tweet that says, or basically a news release, I guess, that he was favoring corn and all that stuff, and he's really pushing that envelope a little bit.
Yeah, he's getting a little heat too from this China deal. I mean that, and I don't. It remains to be seen how the ultimate tariff and tax situation is going to happen. But he's taking a little heat from the farmer side because of this bean deal. It's a big deal for beans if they end up implementing a 25% import tax on our beans. So it's definitely a political situation. There's two sides to every story. At least two sides to every story. So let's just hope that overall he's going to be supportive to ag and over the course of this whole term.
Yeah, no, it's just the soybean thing scares me because unfortunately I only get to sell equipment when farmers have a lot of money. You know what I mean? So if they were to slap this this tariff on these soybeans, man, that's going to be a big issue for us. So I worry about that a lot. So. Well, let's talk about the livestock complex real quick, and then we'll head off here. So how things ended up over there?
Yeah, a little bit lower here. Again, choppy day. We had nearly a $2 range, low to high in cattle. Traded both sides. We tried to rally early, sold off late. Ended up 60, 70 lower in the front month, buck 10 lower roughly in the August. So more of the same. We're still within a range that we've been in for 3 or 4 weeks here. And you still see fairly decent levels, and it sounds like steady at best, or I should say steady at worst on cash prices this week. We'll see where those trade. Even if they trade weaker, we still have an $18, $19 discount on these June live cattle futures for where cash trades. So that's going to, in itself, give us a little bit of support on any break because the cash market's so far ahead of where the futures are. Hogs, quiet day. 20 higher on the close. They look good, but it's the opposite, right? The futures market's so far ahead of cash that it's kind of holding the futures back a little bit until cash starts rallying, which it typically does going into summer here and all through summer. Mm-hmm. So hogs are the bright spot. Cattle, again, week to week, it's going to be about where cash trades. But I don't think that you can drop the bottom out from under this thing yet in cattle until you can get a better sense that the cash market's going to break. And so far, we haven't seen that.
Yeah. Okay. So I also read something today about the Chinese were going to do more inspections on U.S. pork coming in, kind of trying to hold up that process a little bit. Did you read that?
Yeah, that's a big deal as well. And that's a political thing. They're already doing that to beans, even though their tax deal hasn't kicked in yet, and nor have our tariffs. They're already doing that on the bean side. They're letting which makes sense, right? I mean, it's a political game. But obviously it's a big deal, and it's a political deal, and this whole China trade issue is one of the biggest things that's hit not only ag but our entire economy.
Right.
It's a big deal. So that alone tells you it's going to take a while to hammer out, and likely we're going to meet in the middle on some of these things and go about business as usual, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Chip. Well, if you guys want to get a hold of you and talk about this a little further, how would they do that?
Yeah, best way is just call our office here directly, 309-550-7213.
All right, Chip. So we'll catch you tomorrow, and we'll go over the WASD report. And till then, have a great evening.
Yep, a lot of numbers to go over tomorrow. So we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it tomorrow afternoon.
The calm before the storm, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right, thanks.